Below the stratosphere of the Tarmac Rally Championship, there are some very healthy series of one-day events, the chief one being the Red Mills RAAC National Rally Championship. The Hotel Kilmore Stages qualifies for both the national and equally healthy Border Rally Series, so the problem that the Cavan Motor Club has is not getting entries, but fitting them all in. There are many familiar names, none more so than Kenny McKinstry.
I'm sort of making preparations for Lurgan Park, maybe, you know. Every year that I've done Lurgan Park, I've always been driving the F2 car, and I find there's a big difference in the weight of the two cars to try and get stopped. So if I do a few rallies beforehand, it'll maybe get me into a bit of shape for that.
What do you attribute the popularity of this one-day national rallying to?
Super format. You can do your recce on the Saturday and rally on Sunday, have your prize giving home on Monday and go to work.
How long is it since you were in a rally car?
The circuit last year, this year ago, was 14 months or something like that, and before I did a stage in Anger. I wouldn't call Donegal doing the stage. We broke down in the first stage last year, so I would say we'd be quite rusty, and this is an ideal event to just get a feel for everything again, and hopefully be a good day and we're down to enjoy it.
Plum, every time I see you, unfortunately I do tip some wall or get into some type of a handling, but if I see you today, I'll try to keep my eyes closed.
Robert Moffat, Niall's big local rival, who was beaten only by penalties in Monaghan, starts in his unique Metro 6R4 engined Escort.
Kenny McKinstry and Noel, as requested by John Gillespie, are running first on the road, and they blitz the opposition on the first stage by 9 seconds. But by the end of the first loop, their rivals are beginning to waken up. However, the Subaru Impreza has a 15-second advantage after 3 stages. Niall Maguire, the winner of the recent Monaghan National Championship round, is in second place. This is almost a local event for the Monaghan man, and he's really flying in the Scania legacy. By the Stradone stage, he equals McKinstry for fastest time. But he has a constant shadow in the Donegal drivers Daniel and Michael Doherty, driving another McKinstry-prepared Subaru. The Carndona pair are only 3 seconds down on Maguire after 3 stages. National Rally champions John Gillespie and Mike Gibson are in 4th place. The Carlow Rally winner is content at this stage to set his own pace and stay in a strong points position in the Red Mills Championship. Michael Barrable is a late starter this year, having converted his Celica to right-hand drive, and the Dubliner is playing himself back in after his long layoff. He and Joe Downey are in 4th place after 3 stages. James Cullen has Rory Kennedy along for the ride today. The idea is to use the event as a shakedown for Donegal, and it's just as well, as the Letterkenny driver is finding that Tony Kelly car's Escort is down on par and handling very badly. Unusually for him, he's back in 6th after the first loop. But here's a flyer, Eugene Donnelly with Kieran Kelly on the notes. They're in 7th place, and in the Donnelly tradition, always a little bit sideways.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
And talking of sideways, Joe McGurk in the Hankook Tires Escort has not only inherited the famous Black Mark II, the technique obviously was thrown in with the deal.
It's a long, fast, medium left continue. Long, fast left, with a long, fast, medium left wheel continues. We continues, 200. Into chicane coming up. Chicane here. Chicane. Going square left. Chicane into turn square left here. Going square left. 150 uphill. 150 uphill. Straight long pace, 150. Straight.
Eamon McAleenan is not renowned for finishing rallies, and unfortunately he's not about to buck the trend in Cavan. Eamon Finn's camera catches the County Down man gliding to a halt on the first stage. And here we see the Peugeot's final resting place from the bumper cam on Joe McGurk's Escort.
300, same class jump, 200.
It's not proving to be a good day for the Metro Engine Specials. Robert Moffat and Damien McPhillips are out to avenge that Monaghan defeat. But Joseph Sharp videos Robert stopping to try to find out what's causing a severe vibration. As Barrable broadsides the Toyota, the Monaghan men have decided that it's not the front wheels anyway. So it's time to rejoin the fray. No, it wasn't the front wheel. It's the end of the road for Robert Moffat. Des Moore and Colin McKenna are equal 7th with Eugene Donnelly and Joe McGurk in their Group A Toyota. Cathal Rogers is driving Terence McLaughlin's newly acquired Escort Cosworth. Although it doesn't look it here, Norman Armstrong is rebuilding his confidence after an accident. The Armagh driver seems to have lost none of his nerve. David Armstrong has a new Sierra at his disposal. But Robert Hamilton and Sean Walsh won't see the end of the event. The Armagh driver will retire on the second loop. Noel Connolly is lucky to be still in the 1600cc modified battle after that moment. He's just 1 second down on Camillus Bradley's Toyota in Class 6. Alan Nesbitt, brother of Andrew, could do with a little more suspension on the back of his Mark II. And here's one of the real heroes of the afternoon, Rory Galligan from Oldcastle. Peugeots never were that clever over jumps, but it's not deterring Rory or his brave passenger Tom Clinton, who comfortably lead Class 7 and already have the 205 well within the top 20. Jerry McDonald and Conor McMahon are good over the jumps. And Paddy O'Reilly from Castle Blaney is out to entertain his local fans in his rear-wheel drive Escort.
Surely it's bad policy now leading one of your clients here.
Aye, and he's trying to charge me for the tea and the buns, 15p for a bun and £1 for a cup of tea.
Well, is this a masterclass, Niall, here?
This is Daddy them all here. We are following him. Where the brake mark says, that's when we brake.
Michael, it's the same car, but you're looking out the different side of the front window.
Yes, this year we're now looking out the driver's side, the right-hand side, as opposed last year to left-hand side. We just got the car finished. 5 o'clock this morning actually finished. We drove it down from Dublin down here to the rally. It's the first.
What was the reason for the change?
It's natural. It's more natural, I think, to drive right-hand drive. And at several occasions during the season, actually, you'd run up and you'd end up getting in the wrong door of the car. So it's kind of a force of habit, I suppose. And it feels an awful lot nicer in right-hand drive, although it feels a totally different motor car.
5th overall, I believe.
Yeah, well, it's early days.
Big local hero here.
I don't know. We've no starter now, so we just hope we don't conk it. So we'll try to keep going.
Ollie James Duff may have been immortalised by Percy French, But it's Joe McGurk who's bringing the County Cavan Town glory these days. Step aboard the famous Connie Smith Escort as Joe, enthusiastically encouraged by Arthur Cairns, continues the legend of the Escort registration number 482WRI.
Long crest here, small jump 80. Long pass medium weight. With the 80 in the long pass medium weight here. Long pass medium weight. And small jump in the flat weight. Small jump here, flat weight 150. Don't let Turn square right, and pass left, square right, pass left, in the crest jump, pass left, crest jump, easy right 60, crest jump, easy right 60, square left 80, square left 80, steer right over small crest 80, steer right over small crest 80, tight and narrow, clear right 40, tight and narrow, clear right 40, tight and narrow, clear right 40, open straight left 100, it's an open straight, it opens, that's 100, that's medium left 40, that's medium left 40, medium right 80, medium right left 100, pass right in the fast medium left over bump, pass medium left over bump here, 150, pass medium left, flat left 80, don't lift, flat left 80, flat left, flat right, medium left 40, flat right, medium left here, 40, medium left 40, right and long fast right 150, right here, long fast right 150, it's a long fast right 150, keep going, long fast, easy right 60, don't lift, easy right 60, hold on. Okay.
The second loop and Kenny McKinstry continues to dominate. The Banbridge engineer increases his lead to 21 seconds after 6 stages. Niall Maguire, with Paul McCann on the notes today, is having a mighty battle with the other McKinstry-prepared Legacy, driven by Daniel Doherty. But the Ballinode driver is worried that he may have incurred a 10-second penalty for a jump start, and that is exactly the amount of time that separates the two Legacies. Daniel was one of the sensations of the Donegal International Rally last year, and since then he's purchased this car from McKinstry. That curb camera looks a little bit vulnerable. Michael Barrable is in trouble. The Toyotas had a puncture, which caused them to drop 17 minutes on stage 4. The Dubliner will retire by the end of this stage. The right-hand Celica retires with damage to the left-hand side. John Galeese will be the next to go when the cam belt strips and the national champion exits the rally. Noel has caught and passed the Yorkshire driver Paul Kirkley, who is another to encounter tyre trouble. Paul and his co-driver David Jones stopped to change the wheel, but they're now about 7 minutes behind the leaders. The Yorkshire visitors will not be in the top results today. No such problems for Des Moore, who has now moved ahead of James Cullen into 4th place. For James, it's not a happy day in the Drifter's Escort. The suspension is bottoming out and the Escort is hopelessly down on power on these fast stages.
Flat right. Flat crest. Flat right. Flat right low. 30. Low, flat right. 100 the first. 630.
They don't look too happy, do they? Eugene Donnelly is only 5 seconds behind in his G3 Escort, and he leads Class 12 by 24 seconds. Cathal Rogers is getting used to this flaming four-wheel drive. He's raised the suspension now, but he's worried about a head gasket failure. And Norman Armstrong is in 9th place and really tanking on. Boy, are these stages fast. Norman's 26 seconds ahead of David Armstrong. who has had a clutch cable problem.
Now for the battles within the war, the class winners. Alan McMahon and Benny Granger win the small Group N class. Thomas and Susan Taff in their screaming Honda win Class 2. Roger Kennedy and Damien McCann take Class 3 and they're 4th in the Border Championship. Brian Flanagan and Ted Gaffney win Class 5 in their Micra. James and Anne Foley from nearby Navan take Class 6. In one of the drives of the rally, Rory Galligan and Tom Clinton win Class 7. And that victory was despite this puncture. Tim McNulty and Julian Nagel win Class 9. Camillus Bradley and Danny O'Neill win the hotly contested Class 10. Sligo pair Paul Parks and Peter Savage take Class 11. James Cole and John Clark win 11A in a very spirited fashion. And Alistair Hetherington and Tim Duggan win Class 14.
There's many a little crisis that Clerk of the Course Philip Donoghue and his enthusiastic helpers have to deal with. For example, rally or no rally, Basil has got to get home for his tea. And it looks as if Patrick Meehan and Kevin McCaughey are going to be a bit late for theirs. But at least they get to the end of the stage. And now witness the last moments of a faithful curb camera. It was hit so hard that we didn't even get the evidence out of the camera.
After 9 hectic stages, we salute the top 20 finishers in the National and Border Championships qualifier. At number 20, it's great to welcome back an old rally favourite, Winston Henry, with Martin Boland in the passenger seat of the Cuisine de France Escort. Winston has lost none of his entertainment value over the years. Paul Parks and Peter Savage finish in 19th place, good enough to put them up to 2nd in the Border Series. Turbo power can be a bit of an embarrassment in the wet, as Brian and Patrick Corey discover in 18th place. Noel Connaughty and Bernard Cosgrove throw their Escort at the countryside to finish 2nd in the 1600cc modified class and 17th overall. Camillus Bradley now leads the Border Championship, just 1 point ahead of Paul Parks. He and Danny O'Neill are 16th overall. Morris Gass and Eric Kilpatrick bring their Emo Toyota home in 15th place. The Armagh driver cooled off a little when water poured through a roof vent. The Foleys, as we've already seen, are class winners, but they were also 14th overall and now 10th in the Red Mills Championship. Paddy Riley, as the song says, is not quite back in Ballyjames-Duff, but he's close. He and Patrick Shell are also 13th overall. Rory Galligan makes 12th place, and he's over 5 minutes ahead of his nearest class rival. No wonder he's in the top 10 in the National Championship. Michael McCardle and Lisa Mangan bring their Manta 400 home in 11th place.
and Norman Armstrong and Podge New, despite breaking an engine mount in their Mark II, make it into the top 10. The Armagh driver is also runner-up in his class. The depth of rallying talent in the Cavan Monaghan region is staggering. James Cole, who will finish in 9th place, is one of 8 local drivers in the top 20. The man from Virginia is guided home by John Clark. David Armstrong has got that clutch cable problem solved, and he's moved ahead of his brother up to 8th place. Joe McGurk, who now lies 3rd in the Border Championship, is heading towards 7th place, with Arthur Kearns, as always, urging him on.
Right with a big jump, pass left, right with a big jump, and long pass left over the cross, Titans, long pass left, Titans, turn helping right through the pitch, Titans, turn helping right now, drive it, turn helping right, 40, uphill, 40 uphill, long crest, 1 total, long crest, 1 total, long crest, left over long crest, jumped it, here's your unseen crest in the bad jump dip, 200 here, bad jump dip here, 200, 200, fast right, narrow 80, fast right, narrow 80, fast right 80.
But he's just beaten to Class 12 honours by Eugene Donnelly and Kieran Kelly, who finish in an excellent 6th place. Des Moore and Colin McKenna have climbed through the field all afternoon, and the Keady driver leaps from 10th to 5th in the overall standings. And there is consolation for James Cullen and Rory Kennedy with 4th overall and a class win in Class 13. But it has not been the afternoon that the Letterkenny man had hoped for in the Tony Kelly car's Escort. It's not until the last test that James really gets on the pace and sets a fastest time.
50, red crest. 20, keep left. Crest over 50 30, flat left. 50. Slow, buddy, slow.
Al Maguire was lucky to win in Monaghan when Robert Moffat got a penalty. Now the pendulum of fate has swung against him, as he has received a 30-second punishment for his jump start, which drops him and Paul McCann to 3rd place.
When we started the 6th stage, I went off the lane definitely, I think quicker than what I should have. So I got 30 seconds, or was a second too quick and off the lane.
Too eager.
Mad for tower.
It's the Doherty brothers' best ever result, 2nd overall and a great confidence booster for their home event, the Shell Donegal International, which starts on the 19th of June.
On the last loop of 3 there now, Noel took a lot of time out of us again, and we actually only finished 1 second ahead of him there at the end up. And as I say, only for Noel had a 30-second penalty, he would have had 2nd and we would have been 3rd. But we had a great battle now. It was close for a lot of stages, swapping seconds here and there. It was very enjoyable now.
But from the first stage, the winner has never been in doubt. Kenny McKinstry and Noel Orr have been fastest on 6 of the 9 stages, and the Impreza heads back to the Kilmore Hotel with a 53-second advantage over Kenny's other 2 cars. The boys from Banbridge will be happy tonight with 1st, 2nd and 3rd overall in the Cavan Stages.
The cars actually performed very well. We had no problems whatsoever. Run absolutely faultless all day, so a lot has to be said for the boys that work on them.
And of course, as always, the sort of quiet man, not quiet when you're on the microphone, I would imagine, Noel, but co-drivers never get their full dues, do they?
Well, it's just a pleasure to sit with somebody like Kenny. You know, when I first started navigating, Kenny was always the guy that we read about or saw him on television, so it's fulfilled an ambition to sit with somebody like Kenny.
Enjoyed yourself today?
Thoroughly, yes. It was slightly more predictable, the car, than the last trip we had in the Porsche around Killarney. So it was the car was with Kenny rather than Kenny was worrying about the car today. So a very enjoyable day, and the stages were very fast but very, very tough, and the organisation was spectacular. I mean, they've put a lot of effort into it. I can't praise it enough.